Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson.
All of them, yeah.
They are all using this strategy right now.
Episode 209 of the Dan Bradbury Podcast. The theme today is operations and systems, or as those in the know say, ops and sys.
Yeah, it's funny. It gets bad. It gets a bit of a bad rap. But it's how do you actually run the business end of a business?
Yeah. And it's probably one of the more important ones. I'd say, in terms of running the company, finance is number one, ops and systems number two. Yes, there's other components in there, but man, if you know your numbers but you don't know your business, you're hurting.
Oh, 100%. It's funny. If I think back to my career, I got kick-started because I had a business that failed dramatically, where the product was good, but it failed because I couldn't sell and market. Yeah. So, of course, we talk about the 6 areas of business, right? And you need all 6.
What are the 6? Do you want to quiz me, or do you want to?
Let's quiz you.
All right, let's see how we do. Finance.
Yep.
Ops and systems.
Yep.
Sales.
Yep.
Marketing.
Yep.
Culture.
Yep.
Legal. Booyah!
Yeah.
Did it.
Yep. So, that's it. And so you do need all 6. However, because my first business failed, I then quickly was like, it's all about sales and marketing. And then if the only tool a man's got
is a hammer,
he teaches everything like a nail. And everything became about selling and marketing. And, all right, that's 2 things, but still. And then fundamentally, I hit a plateau. Why? Because I didn't have the operations and systems, nor did I have the people and the culture to be able to scale the thing. Yeah. And I would say you can do a lot of damage in the sense of making an impact in the business world if you know your numbers and you are running a slick operation. Yeah. That's rare.
Yeah. The way I would look at it is you've got, if you look at those 6 things, what's the thing? 5 of those, okay? You've got your finance, your culture, you've got your sales, your marketing, and your legal. What ties all 5 of them together? Ops and systems is what connects them all to make them work.
Right. Yeah. So I like it, and very few people do it well. I mean, I don't know whose quote this is, but and I'm paraphrasing it terribly from memory here, but it's half of success is just showing up. It's kind of like, actually, if you just run a business that's not a complete shit show, you are like ahead of 80% of the pack.
Again, Abraham Lincoln said that. When all else fails, cite Abraham Lincoln. All right, let's talk about the news of the week, my friend.
So, talking about having a system. So, the news of the week this week is HSBC buys Silicon Valley Bank.
Thank goodness somebody came in to bottom. By the way, this kind of goes back to the Warren Buffett aspect, right? Which is, when people are stressed, get greedy and buy. And he says when times are tough, it's a great opportunity to get assets on the cheap. What did they pay?
Right. Yeah. So look, they paid the grand total of £1 for the UK arm of Silicon Valley Bank.
So I'm guessing basically what they did is for £1 they bought the debt. Is that a way to look at it?
I mean, it says they brought over the staff, the assets, and the liabilities of the UK arm, but was sheltered from the parent company, so that they selectively purchased assets and took on liabilities with that. So even though the headline is it's £1, it's not £1 because they're assuming the liabilities as well as some of the assets. And the article saying, but HSBC has got the solidity, so it's reassuring the UK customers, we've got your back because you're now supported by the parent group of HSBC, right?
Got it.
And look, some people are listening right now and they've zoned out. Well, zone back in, because the fact is, as you just alluded to, Topher, but Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, they're all doing this strategy right now.
Absolutely, 100%. They're looking for assets on the cheap.
Right. I mean, look, Jim Radcliffe, who we've spoken about before, I was going to say one-time guest, one-time feature on the Dan Bradbury Podcast, and once the UK's richest man, and he's still up there. Ineos being one of the largest privately held company in the UK with 68 billion in annual revenues, or whatever it is.
Can't hear a thing you're saying because the coffee run just showed up.
Yeah. So this episode,
Thank you.
This episode is temporarily paused. And if you read his book, which is called The Alchemists, which is just a brilliant...
we haven't made that a book of the week yet. We should do that.
Well, book of the week this week.
No, we already have the graphics created.
Oh no, it's all about the graphics. But it's a great book, The Alchemists, and it's all about how he founded Ineos and grew it into this massive conglomerate by buying assets for about 30p in the pound. Yeah. He would find unwanted, unloved assets and make them more productive. And that is what HSBC is certainly attempting to do here. So the point, Topher, for those listening to this is, some of your competitors are hurting right now. Mm-hmm. You might be hurting, but that doesn't mean there are going to be opportunities in this tumultuous times for you to buy assets for pennies in the pound, for you to leverage opportunities that other people can't realize, because you might have the infrastructure to be able to leverage that customer database or that stock, or right? So,
and you know what? With regard to like buying a company from a pound, that's always the famous thing. It's very hard to do. There's a lot involved in it. And just like you said, they're actually paying more than a pound anyway. But the interesting thing about that, and I don't know who I heard this from, it might have been from you as well, is that the big thing you need to remember about distressed assets or distressed companies with regard to their assets, we might, like some people go, well, are we taking advantage of them? Are we kicking them while they're down? When their business is hurting and coming in to buy from a pound? No. Because they don't see the value in the company anymore. They see the value in just having the headache go away. They would walk away with it with nothing if they could just get out from underneath this unbelievable burdensome pain that they're in. And if you need to make it legal by giving them a pound, that's fine. But those people just want out of their pain, and that's the value.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I think I should play the balancing act. I can hear my
Please
lawyer
do.
speaking in my ear. First of all, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on the internet. And there's a lot of gurus out there that talk about, how to buy a business for a pound.
Right, yeah.
And there's some genuinely really good guys out there that have got legitimate experience.
Who? Give me one that you really like.
You know what? I'm not going to name names because otherwise I know most of them, and if I mention one,
you'll piss the other ones up. Okay, fair enough. All right, cool.
But I will say, by all means, reach out to me individually. People regularly do. But there's also an awful lot of charlatans.
Yep.
And
who's one? Name them by name.
Yeah, the guy I really hate the most is called Topher Morrison. He's just full of crap. No,
I am. With regard to M&A for $1 down, yeah, I'd probably say I'm the worst person you could turn to. Never done it.
Yeah, what I will speak to, though, Topher, specifically, is one of the lies that is often spoken about. And I can even hear some people say, no, we don't misrepresent that, but they present it simplistically, and the average layperson misunderstands it. They go, you buy it for a business for £1, no money down, so there's no risk.
Right. Yeah, I already know where you're going with this one.
Right there, it's just utter bullshit. Yep. I've bought companies for £1. I've had some that have been tremendously successful, but a lot that have just been an absolute train wreck. Yeah. And they don't account for the opportunity cost, right? Because while you focus on this, you're not focused on that.
Look by the way, perfect example of that right now. Although he didn't buy it for a pound, he bought it for 44 billion of them, or 45. Look, Elon Musk is taking his eye off the ball.
Right. Yeah. Right. And actually, and that also illustrates the point. By him dabbling in that game, and I know, again, it wasn't a no money down deal, but by him dabbling in that game, the reason why he was forced to buy into it, because it was on again, off again, but eventually his hand was forced, because legally he would have been in such dire straits with the banks who were going to be financing the deal. If he pulled out, he was somewhat obligated to go ahead with the deal. And people go, buying a company for £1, there's no risk, it's a limited liability company. And people have no idea, Topher. A limited liability company does not limit your liability in all cases and all counts.
Yeah. A very, very inappropriate title, actually, for the name of a corporation.
Right, because effectively, like any legal document, it's with 763 caveats. Like if you do this, that, the other, and all the disclaimers, you just need to keep your wits about you, and you need to take legal advice. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be commercial, because if you listen to the lawyers, you're never going to do anything. There's going to be opportunities to buy assets at a discount, but you need to be clued up. And that's the power of being around a mastermind, right? Getting multiple references. If you're going to buy distressed assets, you need an accountant who's done it before, knows what they're doing. You need a lawyer who's done it before, knows what they're doing.
Yes.
But the most underappreciated asset in your deal team, if you want to call that, is an experienced entrepreneur who's done it before.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need a mentor, somebody who's done it before.
Correct. Yeah. At more than once, and preferably they've succeeded and they've failed. There's few things more dangerous than somebody that's only had successes. Right?
I'm into that. Say that again, by the way, because that's worth people learning.
Yeah. there's a few things more dangerous than an entrepreneur that's only had successes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, kind of leads in very nicely to the failure of the week, talking about your mastermind and talking about just being overconfident. So let's talk about the fail of the week. So in order for us to go into the fail of the week, we actually have to have some backstory on this one, because we're not mentioning the name of the person out of respect to them, but we need a backstory. So give us the backstory.
So the advantage of being involved in CEO Mastermind is I've got connections with a lot of different industries. So the finance, the operating companies, the marketing machines, like a whole host of things, which gives me the chance to make connections.
And no doubt about it. Yep.
And in December last year, we had our first ever billionaire come and speak. But he's media shy, so he came to speak as a favor to you. So he came on and gave just the most unbelievable presentation.
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing how this guy thought, how he operated, and he openly shared his successes and failures. Yeah. And that was a gift to the members of the group, and they got the chance to chat with him. And anyway, we subsequently built a relationship, and he went, Dan, I've got the capital. What I need are more deals, because he loves startups, albeit one of my favorite things is his definition of startup is anything that's below 100 million, which just makes me laugh. So anyway, he's like, I'm after deals, Dan, in these particular sectors. And I'm like, okay, yeah, great. So I'm going to help it because he helped me. I'm going to, of course, Mr. Billionaire, which is, that's actually his name.
Yeah, that's what you call him every time. Hi, Mr. Billionaire.
I should change it on my phone. Anyway,
and that's when he goes, it's Mr. Billionaire, Mr. Multi-billionaire to you.
Exactly. So I found him a deal. So he specified 2 specific sectors, and because of a lot of connections, I knew of somebody that was perfect. They were in a property-related market, and the nature of properties, it needs capital to grow, right? It's a capital-intensive business. Growth
consumes cash.
Correct. And performing really well, smashing it out the park. So I went, hey, let me make this connection. And Mr. Billionaire said, come down to my house. I'd like to meet this individual. Let's call him...
Total power play, by the way.
Yeah, let's call him Mr. Entrepreneur. So Mr. Billionaire, Mr. Entrepreneur. So I take Mr. Entrepreneur down to Mr. Billionaire's house in Chelsea, just off the King's Road, in like a quiet, leafy suburban street, or as suburban as you get in Chelsea, I suppose. And I don't know if those listening to this have got references for what billionaires' homes look like, Topher, but whatever's in your mind right now, double it. Right? Like, it was ridiculous. So like you're in Chelsea, so one of the richest parts of London, and there's these glorious houses on this street. And we're walking down this street, and at the end of this street is...
angels come out, start singing as the sun beams through the clouds.
Right, and I don't feel particularly materialistic, and I've got quite a few very wealthy friends, so I don't get intimidated by wealth often. Yeah. But it was magnificent. And we go in, and we go past security, and we go into the Mr. Billionaire's lounge. And Mr. Billionaire's lounge is bigger than my house, right? Like, okay, maybe not quite bigger than my house, but it is
enormous,
cavernous.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely, I don't know. I've got a big house, and it's got.
Oh, I've seen it on Zoom. I'm like, you kind of look past his head and go.
Right, there's definitely like 4 lounges in this lounge, right? And he and his wife are, so also known as Mrs. Billionaire, are collectors, so they've got glorious collections. Right.
I'm guessing no lithographs. These are originals.
They're all originals. Yeah. And even like at one point, I'll go over, like, it's on the sideboard.
Yeah.
Like, in a very nonchalant way. There's a letter signed by Napoleon Bonaparte. Original from like 1812, right?
Wow. Like who does that?
Right, because he just loves art, loves history, and obviously we've been to one of his homes elsewhere outside of the country as well, and it's like that's one of the things that he loves, so that's what they get. So anyway, so we're in this intimidating environment, but Mr. Billionaire is very welcoming, very warm, gets a drink, we sit down, Mr. Entrepreneur, me, Mr. Billionaire, albeit we're sat in opposing couches.
Mm-hmm.
But the opposing couches are, I don't know, 20 feet
I
apart.
was saying, it's like the cartoons with the big long table where you're like, hello.
That's
hello,
exactly what it is.
hello.
Anyway, so we get into dialogue, and Mr. Billionaire is like very direct to the point. So he's warm, but he's a little bit almost ADD. He's like, yeah, okay, tell me about this, tell me about that, answer these questions.
Well, think about what he's worth per minute.
Yeah, correct. So he's like cutting to the chase, and Mr. Entrepreneur does a pretty good job answering the questions because he knows his numbers. He's dialed in. Yeah. He's financially literate and he's operationally very smart. So he answers all the questions. But my judgment, well, about 30 minutes in, right? And
can I just interrupt you on this story? Either the matcha tea has kicked in on you, or you're just reliving the excitement from this. Yeah, I can see you're just like you. If you are listening to this, go to the YouTube and watch Dan's face. He's lit up.
Yeah, I've only had a few sips of this matcha tea, which is lovely. Thank you, 1 Mill Street. But it was epic. So for context, I don't know if I should specify the number.
Probably not.
Yeah, okay. So there was Mr. Entrepreneur was looking to raise many millions of pounds.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're not going to go to a billionaire with something that's for $100,000.
Right.
We get that.
Right. So it's a large multiple of millions.
Yeah.
And effectively, it's kind of, all right, this is the growth plan, blah, blah, blah. And we're about half an hour into this initial meeting. They've never met before. Ever met. That literally, when I asked Mr. Billionaire, he just went, oh, is it our property? Yeah, okay. Growing quickly? Yeah,
Going
cool.
over.
Bring him down.
Yeah.
I trust your judgment. Bring him down. Right, so it's the initial meeting. 30 minutes in, and Mr. Billionaire goes, great. I love this. This is amazing. I love it. Right, I'm in. What do you want?
And this is where we get to the failure of the week.
100%.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you want? And so let's arbitrarily choose a figure. So let's just use 10 million to make it more real.
Sure.
So Mr. Entrepreneur is after 10 million pounds, let's say. And I never used his name then. Mr. Billionaire goes, what do you want? And Mr. Entrepreneur goes, and he freezes, right? And he went, what?
Because he wasn't prepared. He didn't think it was going to go that far in the first meeting.
Correct. And that's basically what he said. He went, I thought this was just like get to know each other.
Yeah.
And Mr. Billionaire was like, and in hindsight, it's obvious because again, it's time's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And afterwards, he was saying to me, he's like, look, I haven't got the time to waste to have 4 or 5 meetings.
Sure.
Just to then start throwing out numbers only to find out that there's no deal to be done. So I needed to flush the guy out. And Mr. Entrepreneur is floundering, and Mr. Billionaire eventually goes, I'll tell you what, great. Like, you want 10 million, or whatever the number was, I'll give you 10 million. Great. Okay, now let's just talk about the terms. What do you want? I will give you all of the capital that you need for the plan that you've proposed. No problem. That's like, yes, I've got that capital. Great. Let's just talk terms.
Yeah.
And
So Mr. Entrepreneur caught the bumper
that
he was chasing and he didn't know what to do.
Correct. And so that's why it was a fail. And to be clear, Mr. Entrepreneur, he knows I love him. He'll be listening to this right now.
Yeah, he'd probably be laughing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, interestingly, after this show took, I've got a phone call with Mr. Billionaire because this deal still might go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. Whether or not the deal goes through is irrelevant on whether or not this was a fail. The fail really was don't go into an environment that you're not prepared to get what you want. Like, you've got to think that one through. He should have gone in knowing, okay, I need to know what I want. Even if it doesn't come up, I want to know, what do I want?
100%. Yeah. It just cut through so much of it. And not to make self-aggrandizing here, but because I know them both to a moderate degree, I was able to facilitate, smooth over, etc., and connect the dots, and we'll see whether or not they'll make their respective decisions.
Yes.
But let's just say some time has passed, and we are moving in the right direction.
Sure. Yeah.
But it could have easily have slipped away just because he didn't know what he wanted.
Yeah.
Right. And I always find it ridiculous, Topher. This is similar, not the same concept, but similar. When an entrepreneur doesn't know what they'll get out for. It's like, I wouldn't sell my business for any amount of money. Well, that's just a ridiculous statement.
Everybody's got some level of a price somewhere. They need to know what that is.
Right, even if you're absolutely in love with your thing, I mean, there's got to be some number, even if you're going to go, well, I'd sell, but for this number, and only if I don't have to sign a non-compete, and I'll start again with a massive amount of cash.
And if nothing else, you sit there and go, okay, well, I never want to sell my business, but I would sell it for this. What a great goal to go for, right? So it's like, okay, well, now I want to try to get my company valued at that level, just in case. Even if I don't want to sell, I've got a great valued company.
I mean, the way I'd summarize it, Topher, this isn't the quote of the week, but it's a great quote, which is, I've yet to find myself in any situation in life where having more money would have been a disadvantage.
Michael Jordan, am I right on that?
I think it was Abraham Lincoln. Right? And it's true. You kind of go, yeah, more capital. And at least be willing to entertain. So I said to Entrepreneur, and this is how we moved it on.
Yeah.
Because effectively, because he still didn't have an answer, Mr. Billionaire threw out and said, okay, here's the terms I propose. I'll give you the X.
Yeah.
We made
X for X.
10 million. I'll give you X for X or X for Y. This is what I propose.
Yeah.
Go away and think about it. Mr. Entrepreneur said, I'll go away and think about it. And then Mr. Entrepreneur later was like, oh, actually, no, this doesn't work for me. So it's a no. And I was like, okay, like that's fine.
Yeah.
To which my advice was, we
Counter.
need to counter.
Yeah.
Because that was the opening offer.
Yeah.
Not like he was setting it up to be a haggle. He goes, but he's kind of like gone saying, I'll give you what you want. So I'm like, tell him what you're prepared to pay or give back in exchange for the capital that you want.
Yeah.
And it ultimately came up with, he then got clearer about what he wanted and put in a counter, which, can't speak more specifically, but the counter was put in. And I was like, okay, does this work for you? Would you say yes if Mr. Billionaire says yes to do? And he's like, yeah, this would work for me. We would have to include and there were several criteria, not just financial, but how it relates to control, how it relates to other variables in the specific deal, time commitments, a variety of things. And it's like, okay, good. He might just get exactly what he wants, but it almost slipped away. And so what opportunities are you overlooking right now as you listen to this? Somebody's prepared to give you what you want, but you're not clear about what you want, or you're clear but you're not communicating what you want. You're not asking the question.
Yeah. Honestly, great lesson for everybody to learn, and it'll be a lesson that he learns as well, one way or the other, whether it's go through. All right, let's talk a little bit about our promotion of the week, my friend. And the promotion is all about, by the way, reinforcing where these relationships are made, which is at your CEO Mastermind, because this year, 3rd annual Entrepreneur of the Year Award coming up in June. It's an opportunity for business owners that think they got it going on to apply for Ultimate Entrepreneur, where they can pull 10,000 pounds out of your pocket and put it into theirs.
Hopefully not literally while I'm on stage. That would be a little bit intrusive. But
good video.
You're watching weird videos. So, I mean, look, CEO Mastermind is all about bringing some of the fastest growing entrepreneurs in the UK together, right? It's mostly 7-figure.
Some 8, some 9.
Yeah, correct. And there are a few that are 6, to be fair, but 7-figure entrepreneurs that are growing quickly. They're gazelles.
Well, and to be fair, the 6s usually have a higher profit margin than some of the 7s.
Yeah,
they're doing really,
correct,
really well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a bias B2B, but there is B2C in there as well. But really, this is a chance for you to grow, connect, network. And our question is always, who's been the ultimate entrepreneur? Yeah. Right? Like, who has overcome significant challenges? Because you've got to do all of it. Back to the 6 parts of business, right? Yeah. Like, you've got to be able to do it across all of these different sectors. And so it's our annual Ultimate Entrepreneur competition that anybody can enter, not just members of CEO Mastermind. Yep. Get on over. We'll put the link into the show notes and apply. And apply to be on stage.
Yep. Yeah. So, and if they get on stage, they're still presenting whether they win or not, they're presenting their business to 60 other strong entrepreneurs out there that very well might need their services as well. Just, I mean, you can't. That's great free advertising.
Correct. And we're also taking some non-members to attend this event, which means you get to hang around with literally some of the fastest growing business in the UK on the Sunday Times Fast Track Top 10. We've got a variety of people. We've got somebody who has just won the FSB, the Federation of Small Business Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award.
Which, by the way, is a great segue into the Hero of the Week.
So the Hero of the Week this week is James Calderbank. James Calderbank of Transform Hub. So Transform Hub is a it's a fitness business-based community. So it's got its own corporate-owned gyms, but it's also a franchisor. So it's got franchise locations as well.
Yep.
I forget how many locations there are, so I'm not going to guess. But have a look at the.
Well, it was enough for him to win Entrepreneur of the Year.
Right. Well, and actually, so James, it's public record now, so I can now speak about it. So James joined my program about a year ago. He scaled up, he's added more franchises. He won the FSB Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, but he also took on a significant investment, and I forget the exact amount, but it was a 7-figure investment that was raised. So
good for him. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was very.
He
smart
switched
play.
on.
He is a switch on cookie, and I don't claim. Just to be clear, I'm not claiming credit. It was definitely him. But also, to part of that credit was he sought out, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm negotiating with VCs. Literally, hey, Dan, could you give me some pointers? And we ended up in a multi-horse race, and he got himself a great deal, and now he's got some great financial backers behind him. It's one of the guys is Andy Bell from AJ Bell. It's a massive,
Nice. Yeah.
and they've put in significant funds to help this company grow, which is, well, let's just say it was a sweet deal for James. That's all I'll say on that. Really good deal, and he's already won. He already won this award based on his performance before he got the capital injection.
Oh, it's going to be amazing to see where he goes.
What's he going to do now?
Yeah.
So yeah, check out James or check out Transform Hub. Great job, James.
Yeah, indeed. Well done. All right, let's get on and let's talk about the book of the week, my friend.
Book of the week this week, and Sophie, you put me onto this. In fact, you'll do a better job speaking about this book than me, and it's Thinking in Systems
By Donella Meadows. Love this book. There are a few books. We share a commonality on this one, and there are books that kind of redefine the way you think about life. Anti-Fragile was one of those. Let's see here. What else?
4-Hour Workweek, you're a fan.
Honestly, it was a pretty good book. I wouldn't put it in the top 5 that rechanged my life thinking. The Coddling of the American Mind. These kind of books. The Road Less Stupid. Another fantastic book, right? Even something like a biography like Shoe Dog just changed the way you perceive business. Titan, exactly, right. By the way, going off on a ramble, I just finished the biography of Andrew Carnegie. Turns out we are distant relatives a long time back. The Morrisons married into the Carnegies.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah. Andrew Carnegie's mom was a Morrison.
That explains the downfall of the...
Anyway, Thinking in Systems was one of those books that just reframed how I looked at things in life. And all it's about is looking at what Keith Cunningham and what you talk about is the second, third, and fourth order consequence, right? Where too often things in business, we look at what's the problem, how do we solve it without thinking. And if we solve this problem, what problem will it create? And what problem will that create? And what problem will that create? And she has this amazing, cool system. Well, it's not hers, but she's kind of like considered to be one of the original thinkers in system thinking.
Codified it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, in my opinion, every single politician should be reading Thinking in Systems, and every entrepreneur should read this book as well, because it makes you painfully aware of what are the unforeseen consequences of the consequences of the consequences, and how do you build in solutions to go all the way out to that to make sure that you're building in ecological changes. And it's just a fantastic book.
It is good, and not to get... I'm not trying to make a political statement, but it's interesting to me if I look at China and their kind of long-term game plan, right? Because what this book speaks to it is about how it's nothing separate. It's all interrelated. And if you look too short-term and too myopic, you miss the bigger picture. And obviously, there's a lot of people that would say that, or argue that the Chinese, with their longer-term governments and game plans or 25-year missions, it's not all just short-term, and missing out on the second-order consequences. Not missing out, falling foul of second-order consequences.
Yeah, just a fantastic book. Every single business owner should be reading this book. Use it as one of their Bibles in their business. No doubt about it.
I like it. And on that note, I mean, here's a quote from that book. So from Donella Meadows: "There are no separate systems. The world is a continuum. Where to draw a boundary around the system depends on the purpose of a discussion."
Yeah, brilliant. Which, by the way, really goes into how far of those order of consequences you need to think about when you're making those decisions. You have to draw the boundary about where that's at, and then think of every decision you make that gets up to the edge of that boundary, which most people just don't do.
Right, because it's hard. Right, and it's you're back to thinking like first principles thinking. Like it's not the same, but it's very similar. It's like, okay, you've got to really think big picture, context specific, how it all works, not just in government, for example, it's often about a tiny little tax or, oh no, this is good or this is bad. But as soon as you zoom out and look at second and third order consequences, it paints a very different picture.
And the cool thing about going back to plugging her book a little bit more, she actually teaches you the system for how to do that as well. So it's not just about talking about how important it is. She goes, and here's the methodology to how you go second, third, fourth order consequence. Just brilliant, brilliant woman. Yeah.
I love it. Well, here at Topher, we're always trying to give everybody more diverse reference points, lenses through which to filter the business. Because at the end of the day, if you want better results, if you want a better business, you need to become a better business owner and start by drinking from good books such as that one.
Amen.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 steps to improving your profits and cash flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.